Welcome everybody. My name is McKay Allen. I am the content manager at Log My Calls, and thank you for coming to our Thursday marketing webinar series. We're excited you're here, and we're very excited to have Mitch with us today. A couple of announcements to begin, and then I want to give Mitch a lot of time to give his presentation, to go through his material, because it's very, very good. I had a chance to look it over, and it's fantastic stuff. So we're excited he's agreed to join us today. Now, the first announcement is of our webinar next week. So next Thursday, we're going to have a webinar about Google Maps, specifically how to get listed with Google Maps, how to be found on Google Maps. When someone searches for a location in their area, how do you pop up? And so we're excited that experts at SEP Connect will join us next week for the webinar. The other offer I want to extend is, as a guest of ours today here at the webinar, we want to offer you a free trial of our service, Log My Calls, for 30 days. You can, if you go to the next slide there, Mitch, I think it's on the next slide. Yeah, there you go. So Log My Calls free trial. So you can get on our system and you can test it out without paying us a dime. The other house cleaning item we need to clear up also is how you ask questions today, because we do want to encourage engagement with Mitch and with myself at the end of the call. So please chat questions to us, write them in the question bar, and then at the end we'll address those. And so we're very excited that Mitch has agreed to be here today. I know he has a lot of good material, so with that I'll turn it over to you, Mitch, and I know you have an introduction slide. You can introduce yourself perhaps better than I can, so why don't you go ahead.
Great, great. Hopefully you can hear me okay.
We can, we're good.
Fantastic. Welcome to the Business Lead Generation Handbook presentation here today, everybody. So pleased that all of you could make it. A really quick background on me is I founded Fulcrum Tech back in 2004. Hold on one second, we're having some feedback. 1 second. Okay, we're going to continue. So I founded Fulcrum Tech back in 2004 as an email marketing agency, and what we do as an email marketing agency is all about lead generation. I've spent 20 years in interactive marketing and product development as Executive VP at Reed Elsevier, which is a huge publishing conglomerate, $11 billion publishing conglomerate. You've probably heard of many of their properties, such as LexisNexis, Harcourt Connors, and a number of others. And before that, I was Chief Technology Officer and Group Vice President at Gartner. Many of you have probably heard of Gartner, the big technology publishing and consulting firm where I led the team to recreate Gartner.com. And since then, I've led many, many software, website development projects, marketing projects, and lead gen projects. And just really, really happy to be here today. So we've all done it. We sign up for a webinar, we do our email while trying to listen, and we end up not learning anything as a result. This isn't one of those webinars where you'll want to allow any distractions. We have well over 100 hours of research and data that we built into this presentation. You're not going to want to miss this one at all. I'll give you a fair warning now. I'm going to give you some great data points to take to your bosses or to use for yourselves. Many, many times we hear people say that they just don't have the data that they need to convince their organization to make the investment they need in improving their lead gen. I'm confident that you'll hear lots of data points and other ideas that will help you win that cause. So grab a notepad, because you're likely not going to want to miss taking a few notes. And this is just an hour of your time, but I promise if you listen to the entire approach that I lay out here, you'll uncover many great opportunities for taking your lead generation results to new levels of success. So let's get started. So here on our first slide, I'm giving you an overview of the approach and what we're going to cover today. Part 1 is about your goals. 2, your unique selling proposition. The next we're going to go into how to really understand your market. And then we get down to the effort of developing your lead gen strategy. And don't forget about the metrics. We're going to cover that. And then how do you make it get better and better for you over the many weeks and years you'll be working on this. So in the presentation today, we're going to discuss building an inbound lead generation program. Inbound means getting the leads to come to you, not doing all the outbound direct mail, telemarketing, and so forth. That is typically much more expensive than doing an inbound campaign very effectively. So as part of that, it's all about getting your website foundation strong and capable and delivering the results that you need as part of that lead gen program. So the very first thing we want to talk about is your goals and objectives. So we do a lot of work across many different types of industries, in the consumer space, in the B2B space. They all have the same challenges. We have many clients who come to us and we go through our initial onboarding process, and a lot of times the goals and objectives of the lead gen program are not completely clear. And if we don't make those goals very clear, then it's going to be very difficult to create the program to support the goals that aren't clear. It's going to be very difficult to measure your progress against those goals that may not be very clear. So we want to make sure that, that you think through your goals very clearly. So for example, work backwards from your revenue goals. Let's say that you are looking at getting a certain number of deals per month. So that means you're going to have to work back and say, well, how many proposals do I need to get out? And then how many leads do I need to get? How many good leads do I need to get in order to get to the number of proposals that I need to get? And then how many contacts am I going to need to make in order to get the good leads that I'm looking for? So that's really kind of the reverse of the sales funnel that I just described there. But you need to put some numbers to those as part of your goals. And then the next piece is understanding how you have or have not reached those goals historically. So you may have done it through advertising, from speaking engagements, referrals, pay-per-click, SEO, networking. There's so many different ways that you're going to get those leads, but you need to start figuring out how all those different avenues are going to relate back to the goals that we just talked about in terms of ultimately getting to the number of closed deals that you're looking for at the end of each month. So the next big thing you need to focus on is, what is your unique selling proposition? And I know we talk about unique selling propositions all the time, and but the question is, if I ask you, every one of you right now, tell me what your unique selling proposition is in a sentence, can you do that? And the key is that you've got to be able to do that. You have to do that on a landing page. You need to do that on the way that you speak to your prospects. You need to do that on your homepage of your website. That unique selling proposition is core to your entire lead generation program. You have to understand why you're different, and why should I buy from you versus someone else in your world. So many companies exist, in fact, due to their market's ignorance. They don't know any better. That's not a formula for long-term success, is to count on your prospects not really knowing any better. You want to truly be better than all of your competition. So be sure that you're clear about that uniqueness. Okay, so how do we create a unique selling proposition? So let's talk about these items. Number one, you want to incorporate benefits. Number two, you want to solve a pain point, and you want to be clear about what's unique. And fourth, you've got to make a promise. So let's talk about some unique selling propositions and see if you can see how these are great examples of those 4 points that I just listed. So when it absolutely, positively has to be there overnight. So that's Federal Express, or FedEx as they're known today. So it definitely incorporates the benefit. It solves a pain point needing to get there overnight. It's very clear about what's unique. Early in their days, it was all about getting there the next day. The next one, pizza delivered in 30 minutes or it's free. Another one, the quicker picker-upper. Actually, someone in one of my discussions actually thought that that was for toilet paper. That is not for toilet paper. It's Bounty. The last example I have here is pick enterprise. We'll pick you up. So people have challenges of getting to their rental car. So enterprise will pick you up. That's something unique about what they're offering, at least at one point in time. So make sure you get that straight. The next part of the building out your lead generation program is you've got to understand your market. And I mean really understand your market. So one of the things that you do in understanding your market and characterizing your market is using what are called personas. So personas are how people are characterized in your market in terms of what drives them. If you're to describe different types of individuals and the types of reasons that they might want to be talking to you or working with you, you need to come up with a different persona for the different markets and sub-segments in your market that you're trying to target and go after for sales for your company. So, for example, as part of your persona development, you want to also create what are called use cases. So if you're building a travel site, a site where someone is going to come in and buy airline tickets or hotel reservations and so forth, you want to identify what are people going to be coming to this site for. Well, you might have a mother looking for a vacation for the entire family. So that's a whole set of content and activities that that individual may want to do on your travel site. Another persona or another type of person might be a business person looking for a flight and hotel for a trip to Boston this week. That's a completely different type of activity than the mother looking for a vacation. And next you might have someone who's just looking for some ideas for that perfect cycling vacation. Again, very different from the others that we just talked about. So this has great implications on the content on your site, the types of information and links that you have on your home page, and so forth. All of these have an impact on how you design and create what are called the conversion funnels on your website to make sure that you can address each of those different types of individuals. And the more you know about those individual users and what they're looking for and the types of information and the types of offers that are going to get them to move forward with your company, the better you'll be in creating your landing pages and everything else on your site and with the rest of your inbound marketing program. So with personas, you need to think about psychographics versus demographics. So what does that mean? So psychographics is more the way that your target market is thinking. Not that there's so many people that are male versus female or have an income level of over $100,000 and so forth. Those things are helpful, but you need to understand that, are these people in a hurry? Are they urgently needing a solution? Are they the types of people who want to do a lot of research before they make a decision? So for high-ticket items, you're going to definitely have types of people who are going to want to really do all of their homework. They want to do comparison shopping. And the more that you understand the psychology of those prospects in your market, the better you're going to be able to describe your personas using psychographics, not just demographics. And that's going to all have a great impact on your ability to deliver a strong lead gen program. Okay, let's talk about language. This is a great one. So when you're starting to learn, and I'm sure all of you know your market very, very well, but let me go back to an example of one of our clients. One of our clients sells wheelchair vans. These are the vans that are used to transport individuals who have some type of mobility impairment. Okay? So when we were looking at the types of terminology to use, we referred to these as handicap vans. And our client said, no, we do not want to use the word handicap. It's politically incorrect. It's not going to go over very well with the market. Well, when we did the research, though, we found that a significant number of individuals are actually searching for the term handicap vans. So we needed to incorporate handicap into our SEO, into our PPC, into the landing pages, into the language across the site in a politically appropriate way, but that's the terminology that the market was using. So you have to be very careful that you don't make assumptions about your market and do the appropriate research using Google keywords and other tools out there to make sure you understand exactly how people are searching for your types of services or products. And secondly, you need to know the terms that convert. So it's one thing to know how people are searching and looking for you. It's another to know the terms that ultimately are going to drive the greatest conversion once they are on your site. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. So let's look at keyword research, which is really the most critical element when you're first beginning your lead generation research and planning portion of your program. So there are about 4.7 billion searches per day from the last piece of data that I could find right now on Google. And the question is, how do you compete with that many searches going on out there? You have to look at the tools that are out there to uncover keyword niches. So there are some tools out there. One of them is called Strategizer by WordTracker, although I think that that product is getting sunset, but there are lots of other tools that you can use to uncover not just a term, but you're really looking for groups of terms. And when you're doing SEO, you want to try to understand groups of terms that people are maybe using, not just what we call the head terms. So go back to wheelchair vans as an example of a head term, but maybe wheelchair vans with lots of headroom could be a longer tail term, and you want to understand what all of those words would be, or all of those phrases would be around a certain keyword niche. Next, you want to look at and review Google Trends, which is a tool from Google to gather insights about what's trending and what are people searching for more and more today versus less and less. And you want to hop on the bandwagon in terms of what is being most popular today in terms of search. Don't forget to look at your social metrics as well, and there's lots of tools out there. Radiant 6 is an expensive one, but there's lots of other tools to use that where you can track search on Twitter and find out what types of activities and terms and phrases are happening out in the social sphere, and those will help you identify what you might want to focus on at any point in time. Another great one is to use Google Alerts. Google Alerts is basically a saved search from a Google search. So that allows you to set it up and then to see what types of news and information is getting published out across the entire web, and that's incorporating those terms and phrases that you're looking at. So that's just another great piece of data that you can use in uncovering trends and what people are actually looking at and searching for today in your world. So next, we want to talk a little bit about PPC. So PPC is the abbreviation for pay-per-click. So those are the ads that you see at the top of a Google search or another search. You'll also see them along the right side. And today you may even see them at the bottom of the page. So PPC is oftentimes I call it a drug that many companies can't get off of, because what they do is they start using PPC to bring people into their website. So they place an ad, it shows up at the top of the Google search results, and they start getting people to click through. But they don't really use the data that they learn from PPC to actually confirm and understand what's going to be successful for them in terms of what they should focus on for their SEO. So with PPC, you want to view it as a strategic tool to help build out your lead generation terms that you want to focus on your landing pages and on the SEO portion of your lead generation strategy. So what we do is, let's say that we're looking for a term. We have a bunch of terms that we think may have enough volume that could drive enough people to our site what we'll do is we'll use PPC to actually run an ad, and we'll test some of those terms. And we'll see how many people actually come in. Because all the data that you get from the Google Keywords tools and some of the other tools like that is estimates for the amount of volume. But now when you actually place some ads, you're going to see exactly how many people are coming into your site based on them clicking on those ads for those terms. And that's going to give you a much better sense. Secondly, you want to see how many times that ad is getting just displayed, not even clicked. And lastly, you want to get a good understanding of how many people who are clicking on those actually convert on your website. And that's critical to determining which terms you want to focus on for your SEO. So next you want to look at where your market really is. So they might be, certainly they're on the web, but what social networks are they on? Are they hanging out in Facebook? Are they using Google+? Are they in LinkedIn groups? Where are they hanging out offline? We've had situations in certain medical specialties where we found that those individuals actually did not spend very much time at all on the web, but they spent a huge amount of time offline. So we needed to do some external marketing, some outbound marketing like direct mail, in order to get those people back online and into the social networks where we could actually start working harder on some of the inbound efforts. So knowing where the market is critical, because if you're going after a market that doesn't exist in these networks, then you're going to waste a lot of money, and you don't want to go there. Okay, so let's recap. So far we've set our goals, we understand what our unique selling proposition is, and we have a great understanding of the terms and phrases that our market is using to find the products or services in the market that we're trying to sell to. Now it's time to develop that lead generation strategy. So the first thing you want to do is think really hard about those conversion funnels. So if we go back to the personas that we were talking about earlier today, you want to think about the activities that those people are coming to your website to do. Are they there to do some research, or are they there to buy? If they're there to do some research, then you need to put them through what we call an information funnel. So that's the funnel where you're going to help them find the information they need to understand how to shop for your kind of product, how to compare your product against your competitors. This is where you can actually talk about the benefits of your product over other products that might be out there in the marketplace. But instead, you may actually want to you may want to go directly to purchase, where someone is there, they're ready to buy, they've come in on a term like best price for X. If they come to your site with that kind of term or phrase, then they're ready to buy typically. And you need to make sure that when they get to your home page, that it's very easy for them to find your pricing, add it to a cart, and actually conduct the purchase transaction. So if you're in a B2B space or B2C space, you need to think about those information funnels as well as your purchase funnels, and make sure that when you develop the user experience on your website, that you make it very easy for people to go in either funnel very easily, very quickly, and get the information that they're looking to get. If you are starting with a new website or you're rebuilding your website, what you want to do is, before you go into design, is think about what's called wireframing. So we do this for all of our clients, where we first build out they're in effect sketches of the physical location of different content and buttons on the various pages of your website. So what you're trying to do is determine, with the flow of these wireframes, before you ever get into design, is what content do I want on every single page? Where should those buttons be? And that's what ultimately drives your entire design process. So when you think about your calls to action and making them compelling, the first part of making them compelling is making sure that they're appropriately positioned against the other content on your site. And then you can get into the actual design. So let's talk for a moment about calls to action. So when you're dealing with calls to action, you want to make sure that they are action-oriented. You want to make sure that they are right in the eye path. So when someone comes to your page, don't bury that call to action within a paragraph or hope that they're going to see that bold word or phrase inside of a paragraph. Make sure that you highlight it with your heading and with your subheads. People today are skimmers. They're only going to skim the content on your website. So you need to make sure that they see the point of that page from the headline, and they can almost get the point of the entire concept or what you have to offer from your subheads. Then you can get to your actual calls to action. When you make your call to action, don't forget to make it an urgent. Sometimes you need to create a false sense of urgency. For example, the offer expires tomorrow at midnight. Or maybe there's a real, a real urgency. For example, if you're selling conference tickets, the conference actually starts tomorrow, so you need to make sure that you sign up before tomorrow, or for a webinar. So sometimes there are real senses of urgency, and other times you want to create those. But people will always put things off. That's the way it works. It's human nature. So if you don't create that sense of urgency and a compelling offer along with it, it's going to be really tough to get people to act. So let's talk about landing pages. So what is a landing page? So a landing page is where you do all the selling. So an email, in contrast, is where you get people to click through to the landing page. With an email, what you're trying to do is get people to pay enough attention. You're trying to get them interested enough to click through to your landing page, and you let the landing page do all the heavy lifting. It's the same thing with a pay-per-click ad. The pay-per-click ad is only a few characters that interest someone, intrigues them enough to click through, and now they are at the landing page. Now you've got to do all the selling. So landing page is critical to your ability to sell. So what makes a great landing page? So the landing page has to have strong benefits. So make it very clear why someone should buy your product from you. So this gets back to your unique selling proposition. If you didn't do a good job with your USP, you're going to have a lot of trouble creating a strong landing page. Your offer details need to be very clear and succinct on the landing page. You need to reduce anxiety. Don't start asking for credit cards and everything else. Don't ask for 25 fields of information. And we've seen that. Even for a simple newsletter subscription, we've seen companies ask for so much information that they actually never even use, but it scares people away, and it makes your entire landing page ineffective. And you won't see the conversion that you're looking for, even for that newsletter sign-up. The next, test your forms. When you look at the form that we have on this example here, there are 6 items. So you could test it with 5, 4, 3. You want to really get enough traffic to that and actually see the results in the number of people who complete those forms when you start changing the number of fields. And we have seen, and there are lots of case studies out there that indicate that there is a clear correlation between the number of fields and the number of conversions. The more fields you have, the lower the conversion will be. And don't forget, you've got to test. And there's some great tools out there, some of them free, like Google Web Optimizer. Again, Google Web Optimizer is a great free tool for you to test your landing pages. There's all kinds of other tools where you could come in and you could change an image, or you could change some of the bullets, and it will automatically flow those in and out and allow a good, strong test across multiple different variables where you can test those images and test those bullets and ultimately see which ones are going to perform better versus worse than others. So here's an example of a landing page, both before and after. So you might think that this one is not going to perform as well on the right because of all the additional fields it looks like. It seems a little more cluttered, but in both the SEO and other metrics, this actually performs significantly better. All right, so going down to creating your lead generation strategy. So how do you figure out, of all the many different tools that are out there, which ones should you use? Okay, I'm going to show you in a few minutes that there are probably hundreds of tools that you could use in your lead gen strategy. But really, all you need to do is focus on 3 or 4 and do them really, really well. And test them, swap them out until you find the best combination of tactics that work for you and deliver the best conversion for your company and your services. So what we use is a concept from Forrester. Forrester, if you don't know who they are, is an analyst company. They put out a lot of reports about how to evaluate technologies. They evaluate technologies. They do a lot in the digital marketing space. And what they talk about is understanding the people. So who are you going after? We already discussed that. What are the objectives? What are your objectives in your lead gen program? What is your strategy? So after you know who your market is and your objectives, then look at your strategy and then pick your technology. So many times we see clients come to us or prospects coming to us where they've picked the technology because it was the latest, newest, exciting tool out there, and it wasn't working for them. And it wasn't working because they hadn't done a great job of understanding their market and their objectives and their strategy first. So that's what you've got to do first. So keeping that as a backdrop, let's look at some of the tools that you have available to you. And then we're going to go into some actual examples of where we put these to work, and you can see the kind of results that you can get. So number one, looking at social tools. So with social tools, you have, you're familiar with Facebook, with 1 billion active users out there, LinkedIn, over 175 million users, professionals across 200 countries. Google+, 400 million registered users today, and 100 million of those are considered active. Twitter today has about 140 million active users. YouTube, 4 billion views per day. I mean, it goes on and on. There's so many tools here in the social sphere that could be perfect for you. I'm going to give you one example here where we had a client. We were doing SEO for them, and we had moved them up dramatically from not being anywhere found in the Google rankings, and we had gotten them up to about the 4th page at that point. And we started to see, we started to look at the competition more carefully, and identified that the one really big difference that we saw, the one factor that was different, was the social engagement that the competitors had compared to our client. So what we did is we started dramatically pushing Facebook and YouTube, and we started getting a tremendous number of fans on the YouTube channel, lots of likes and fans on Facebook, and suddenly we started going very quickly. We're talking about within weeks, from page 3 to 2 to 1. So it's very important that you understand where your users are with regards to their social, and don't think that social doesn't have an impact on your SEO today, because it absolutely does. Because Google increasingly is using backlinks less so than they are using the actual input from all the social channels. Email marketing. So as I said very early on, Fulcrum Tech is actually we founded ourselves as an email marketing agency. So this is where we started. And email marketing is a tremendous capability for not only outbound lead generation, but once you get the leads, you want to use it for lead nurturing and transactional emails, shopping cart abandonment, and so forth. So I'm going to throw out a few numbers for those of you who are not using email to its full extent. So welcome emails. This is one of those emails that you get. Welcome emails is the email that you send out after someone signs up for something. So as soon as they sign up, you send out a welcome note automatically, and that welcome note is one of the most frequently opened emails of all time. So you'd be surprised to find that in a 2012 study by Silverpop, a third of U.S. online retailers fail to send a welcome email. So if you're in B2B or if you're in B2C, absolutely send a welcome email, because it's a great place to get that initial engagement with your prospects. Educational emails, newsletters, and so forth. We have clients who get triple-digit returns, ROI returns, on their newsletters every single time they go out. They work. Order status emails. You think that those transactional emails are just basic emails that don't need to do much? Those transactional emails can do some great lifting for you. For example, those transactional emails typically have average open rates that exceed 75%. That's huge. Shopping cart recovery. So if you go to a shopping cart, a shopping site, and you add something to a cart and then you close down your session, the email that you might get that comes back to you and says, "Hi, we're afraid that you may have encountered some technical problem on our website. We'd love for you to come back. We noticed that you had added these couple items into your shopping cart. Please come back and complete your purchase." Those emails can have an astounding impact on your top line. Those emails can generate as much as $17.90 per email sent. That's because an average of almost 21% of abandoners return to the site and make a purchase, and they spend 55% more than the buyers who didn't abandon their carts. So if you're not doing shopping cart abandonment recovery emails, you're missing a huge opportunity in your business. Birthday and holiday emails, another great example. So there was a study done by Experian Cheetah Mail. Birthday emails generated more than twice the revenue of bulk mailings to the same customers. So what a great data point to collect on your prospects early on in your engagement process, and then use those, and you're going to get a much better response rate further down the line. And finally, cross-selling and recommending within emails can be tremendous. In one study, for instance, transactional emails that included cross-sell items have a 20% higher transaction rate than those without them. So these emails can dramatically improve your lead generation capability in your overall lead gen program. So next we get into SEO and PPC and remarketing. We talked about those a little bit, so I'm going to skip over that, not go into that in much more detail. The next is content-focused tools. So video, wow, video is outstanding, especially today. It just, we added video to a client landing page where we got literally a 50% improved conversion on that landing page when we added video. So if you have some excited clients who are willing to say how great you are, just a short snippet, and let's say you have 10 of those in a row and you put those up as a video, they can have an astounding impact on the performance of your landing page. Blogs, I'm going to give you some data in just a minute about what blogs can do. So if you weren't a believer in blogs, you will be in a minute. Ebooks, great incentives on your website to give information away for free. Again, it comes down to what understanding what your prospects are needing and wanting. Comparison guides are fantastic ebooks. How to make decisions that are really difficult in your market. Talk about them. Give them a framework. Tell them, help them figure out how to make decisions in your marketplace. Those ebooks go a long way to helping engage your prospects. More social media, white papers, websites, microsites. Microsites can be great. That's a really focused set of landing pages. And webinars like today, these are a great source of prospects. You have some engaged individuals who are coming. You know that they're interested in the topic, and you can do some outstanding follow-up email and other activities following the webinar and in the social sphere around those. And don't forget press releases. Next, we have advertising. So advertising can be really powerful, and it's, again, often overlooked because everyone wants to do all the sexy stuff, the the social media and the webinars and so forth. But really, with a little bit of advertising, you can get some very, very cost-effective banner ads on emails that are being sent out to complementary markets in your world. So we've actually put banner ads in those types of emails for our clients, and we've seen literally a third or more of those people who click through sign up for our offers, and it didn't even cost that much. So the amount of the level of ROI that you can get from really strong targeted advertising emails, banner ads, is amazing. So don't forget to look at the many different avenues for that. And then finally, don't forget to look at those offline tools. Today, Log My Calls is sponsoring this. Call tracking is a necessity in lead gen. So we have a client who we were doing an online inbound lead gen program for, and we were tracking all of the inbound contact form completions. And then we said, well, how many people are actually calling? And the answer was a lot. Well, how much is a lot? So we then got call tracking, and then we started to see literally 80% of the contacts were coming in from phone calls, and we had no idea. And then we can get even fancier and say, well, which ones are coming off of landing page A versus landing page B? Or which ones are coming in from a PPC campaign? And it goes on and on. If you are using call tracking, you're going to be able to track exactly where those people are coming from in terms of the sources. So do not overlook that call tracking. It's so critical to your lead gen program. Telemarketing, it's outbound, but hey, it works. You need to make sure that it's going to work in terms of giving you the ROI, but it absolutely is a great tool for you. And direct mail, events, networking, these are all the things that you probably know of, but can't leave them out. This is just a quick landscape of all the social media tools that are out there. I'm not going to go into those, but I'm sure that you've heard of many of them. The value of blogging. So if you are blogging less than 4 times a month, let's say that you increase that to 16 to 20 times a month, based on a study done by HubSpot, you're likely to get twice the traffic and 3 times the leads. If you're doing 20 posts a month, that increases to 5 times the traffic and 4 times the leads. That's a huge ROI for you. Twitter, compared to someone who only has 25 followers, if you have between 300 and 1,000 followers, your traffic is typically 5 times that of those people who don't do much on Twitter, and 4 times the number of leads. And again, 6 times that if you have over 1,000 followers. So, it's not going to work for everybody, but it's something that you need to test and pay attention to in your world. But this stuff really works, and we can get really excited about it. Same thing with Facebook. I'm just going to breeze over this, but 68% of Facebook users are more likely to buy based on recommendations from a friend, based on a tool from a tool developer, Wildfire. So this is just, Facebook is an incredible tool as well in your arsenal. And you can get incredibly direct and targeted with Facebook as well as LinkedIn. So you may not get a lot of views with those tools, but you can get a very strong, very targeted lead gen effort going with those tools. Email marketing again. Email marketing gives you the best ROI compared with other marketing tools. Study after study after study shows this. So there was a study done by Direct Marketing Association that showed email is delivering $40.56 per dollar spent compared to search and display ads and mobile and catalogs and so forth. Email marketing, so what is so great about email, aside from some of the things that I already told you about? So what are these numbers? 72%. 72% of the people in one study reported that email marketing ROI is better than all tactics except for SEO. And we use SEO heavily with all of our client engagements. Another survey out there of over 8,000 local businesses, 35.8% indicated email as one of the top 3 most effective marketing or ad tactics. Only SEO and social profiles scored higher than that. Another study in 2010, 4C Results 2010 report indicated that email was the second biggest influence on a retail website visits. And finally, Daytran Media, a 2010 study that they did, reported that 39.4% of industry executives cited email marketing as the strongest ad channel that they have. So it's really, really powerful and must be a part of your overall arsenal. So I am not trying to overwhelm you with this slide, but this is really what's going on in the heads of most people who come to us. They come to us with so many different tools. It's like, well, should we be doing PPC, and should we be doing these blogs, and what about a white paper, and what about events and webinars? And it's like there's so many different things that you can choose. As I said earlier, you got to choose just a few of them and do them really, really well, and test, and optimize those until you see them delivering very solidly for you in your world. So let's talk about some examples in a minute. So really how all this works together is you've got SEO, which is an amazing list building tool along with PPC and content marketing. You're going to engage people with social media, and you are going to convert them with email. That's how it works. So, yes, there's lots of outbound tools and so forth, but what you're trying to do with a strong lead gen program is to get people in the funnel with the SEO and SEM, get them to be nurtured throughout this, and then ultimately close them with email and other tools that are out there. Okay, that metrics dashboard, the last piece that you need to know before we go into a couple examples and get to our Q&A. So lots of free tools out there. Hootsuite, TweetDeck, Seismic was recently purchased by Hootsuite. Social Mention, Facebook Insights, Bitly, Google Analytics. You've got to look at your Google Analytics or whatever tool you're using out there. But so many people have that data available, but you've got to look at it. You need to understand where are people coming in, what terms are they searching for when they're finding you, which ones are converting, and you can figure out what's converting with your Google Analytics. And you can set up Google Analytics e-commerce to hook in with your shopping cart and track what's happening right within your shopping cart as well. Next is your SEO dashboard tools. Again, you're going to use Google Analytics for that, and you must use Google Webmaster at a minimum for tracking everything that's going on with your website, the crawls that are happening, and so forth. On the email side, there are lots of tools. Actually, we just wrote an article today. If you haven't signed up for our email newsletter, I encourage you to do that. If you just go to our URL here, www.fulcrumtech.net. There's a sign-up right on our home page, and you'll get our monthly newsletter. But if you go to our blog section today, you'll see an article published right at the top of that talks about a dashboard for those doing email nurturing campaigns. It talks about how to create that metrics dashboard. And we don't have the time today to go through that, but you've got to have a dashboard that ties right into your goals all the way through to the success metrics that you're looking for that are going to drive the success of those KPIs, key performance indicators. The tool I'm showing here on the screen is one that you can actually get for free right now if you go to the email ROI page on our website, and this allows you to create a financial model and an ROI calculation of your specific email program. It's a really sophisticated, very, very helpful tool if you're doing any kind of emailing at all. You can actually measure the impact of the results of your email by just changing a few data points. You'll see exactly what that's going to mean in terms of revenue and profits and ROI. Okay. Moving on to metrics tools. Actually, we just covered that. So the last thing you want to do is continually improve. So you want to continually test every aspect of your program and tie it back to the KPIs as we talked about, and just improve, improve, improve. You don't necessarily need to know exactly what your competitors are doing. What you need to know is how you are doing, and you need to continually do better for what you are actually doing with your own website, with your own landing pages, and so forth. This is an example of a website that is hot off the press. We just launched it earlier this month. Okay, so this is healthmr.com, and we did a complete website redesign. And what you see above the fold here is a set of bullets as to why their products are better than everyone else's. And it makes it very easy for you to get free reports and understand based upon your market. You can't really read this on the screen here, but you can see different types of markets that you have here. We're making it very easy because what we do is we understood the personas of the people who are coming through to the site, and then we made it very easy for them to get the information that they are looking for very, very quickly. As a result of this actual, oops, just a second, of this, we saw literally 7 times the newsletter signups in literally the first 10 days of launching the site. And we've seen over 70% improvement in contact form completions. And this is not based on small numbers. They already had a good, strong performance to begin with. So this is what understanding the personas and delivering the funnels and giving your visitors the right funnels right at the home page can do for your response rates right off the bat. Another example is in terms of lead gen. So we had a global leader in publishing, and they wanted to improve the results for their holiday emails. So they were looking for much stronger engagement, and they wanted to use email to try to improve the sales over their holiday season. And we looked at, what we did here is a huge number of tests for them. And we looked at days of the week, and we looked at the offers and the incentives and the creative and the copy and so forth. And through all of that, through all that testing, we ended up doing a 3-wave test plan, which allowed them to rapidly test their subject lines, their calls to action, day of the week, and everything else, and led to just a tremendous return, which you're seeing here on your screen, 186% ROI. So a lot of times when we're sitting with clients, we go back to their previous campaigns and we say, so how did they do? And they say, well, our open rates were this, or our click-through rates were that, but they're not tying it back to their revenue. And you're doing this because of the revenue. So you've got to figure out how to make sure that you're tracking all the way through, from the beginning through the end of your lead gen campaign, in this case the email campaign, so we actually know that we increased our unique open rate by 62%. And I can tell you actually which subject lines drove that, or which lists drove that, or what days of the week drove that. All together they drove an incredible sales improvement for this client. So I see we have about 5 minutes left. I'm going to hold off on some of these other case studies because I want to make sure that we give you the opportunity to ask a couple questions before we have to sign off today. But I'm going to let you go ahead and turn that back over to McKay. And McKay, if you want to let us know if you have any questions, that'd be great.
Awesome. That's fantastic stuff, Mitch. We appreciate it. We do have a couple questions, so let's cover 3 of those. In terms of landing page forms, do you prefer asking for all the data in one whack, or having multi-step forms?
I'm sorry, you just broke up a little bit there. How many forms? Just repeat that.
Yeah, so do you prefer having multi-step landing page forms, or do you prefer having all of the fields available when you click to the landing page immediately?
That's a great question. Okay. So This is definitely something that needs to be tested, and we have seen landing pages that do extremely well with just a single form and not going to a two-step process, because you'll lose people by having to go to that second step. But the benefit of having the two-step process is if you're capturing just the email address in that very first form field, and then take them to the next step, then you have the opportunity of remarketing to them later. So you might have fewer completions, but you might actually end up with a stronger set of conversions on the other end. So it's definitely something that we've seen great performance in both sides, but you've got to test it. And as I always say, it comes down to the testing. Okay,
that's great. And then for landing pages specifically, because you did talk a little bit about that, what's your sense of this question that Lynette asked? She says, and I'll just read you the question as she asks it. She says, on landing pages, do you use a different URL for each one, meaning do you assign a different page name onto your existing domain, or do you purchase a new domain name just for that landing page? Do you have a thought on that?
Yeah. So a lot of times landing pages will have double duty in terms of different campaigns and so forth. So number one, if you expect your landing page to be found by the search engines and you want it to perform well, likely the page rank of your website is going to give clout or give credibility to that landing page in terms of being found by the search engines. So from that standpoint, I would definitely use the domain name of your primary site. Microsites is where you would maybe use a different domain name. So if you were trying to go after a very narrow marketplace and there's a term that's used and you can actually buy that domain name, it might be okay for some vanity and so forth in terms of people remembering the name and being able to go to it later. But of course you could use a lot of redirects for that as well. But generally we'll put landing pages on the primary domain of our clients because it's going to be easier and tighter and more easily repurposed as well.
Great. And then the final question, how would you suggest that a company, and this is it's going to be specific to their industry and to a company's situation, but when do you know is too much of your resources? What percentage of your resources is too much to be putting in any one thing, whether it be SEO or website design perhaps, or banner ads, or do you have a sense of the breakdown between those channels, or does it really just depend on the industry and the business model for the company?
Yeah, it's a great question, and we get that one all the time. I like to think about a marketing budget actually as an infinite budget in some ways, because if you're generating a positive return on investment on the marketing that you're doing, then your company should continue to spend and spend until you see diminishing return on that. But in terms of the breakdown across all the many different tools, it really is going to depend wildly on your actual business. I would say that if you're an online retailer, you're going to spend far more on email marketing than you would, let's say, certainly on direct mail, unless it's, you've got a strong direct mail channel, but it's so expensive. So, but if you are doing direct mail will dwarf the budget of everything else altogether because of postage. We see email marketing as easily 30, 40, 50% of a company's marketing budget. But the website is often a huge part as well. It's really hard to say what's going to be best for any individual company without seeing the ROI tied to that. Like I've gone into companies before, and I'll do a breakdown of all of their different marketing because we want to understand their marketing channels all together, and we'll want to see exactly what the return is on each, and then I'll have a very specific opinion on where you should be spending your dollars.
Okay. And then the final question, so tell me what you do about, whether you call it email fatigue or, whatever it might be, where, your open rates are sort of dropping, not precipitously, but over time. maybe people are just getting tired of seeing emails, or what is there any remedy for that, or is it just a matter of making sure your list is always fresh and new and making sure that your subjects stay fresh? Do you have any sort of advice on that situation?
Yeah, I love that question, and it's a huge topic. First of all, with an email list, the more that you can at least create broad buckets and segments, it gets back to understanding your market. So if you can start to break that list down into the segment of users who would have an interest in certain different types or classes of your products, that's the first thing you want to do. List fatigue happens when you continue to mail over and over and over again to those individuals, and they have lost or they never were interested in your product or service, so they stop paying attention to you. And they go into what we call inactive status, which is like they haven't opened or clicked in X number of months. All right. So how do you keep that from happening? Number one, you have to add to that list all the time. 25% of a list per year will go inactive, or you'll simply lose through attrition from unsubscribes and bounces. So adding to that list every year is critical. So if you don't add to the list, or if you don't take the people away who are inactive, then it's going to look like your list is fatiguing, right? Because it's just mathematically speaking, it has to happen.
Sure.
So you do re-engagement campaigns to try to get those people re-engaged with really exciting offers. You want to try to segment better to make sure that you're giving them offers that they care about or are interested in. You want to look at behaviorally, what have they opened and clicked on historically, and use that to try to keep that list healthy and strong. I could talk about that topic actually for an hour. So if whoever asked it wants to reach out to us afterwards, I'd be more than happy to provide more insights and resources relating to that one.
Great. All right. Well, Mitch, thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate it. We want to invite everybody again to contact Mitch directly if you have any questions, or if you have any questions about email marketing or marketing in general. I know he can help you out directly. So feel free to reach out to him, and feel free, of course, to sign up for our future webinars, logmycalls.com/webinar, and we'll continue to have good webinars every Thursday. The only other thing I will mention at the end here is, in terms of the availability of the slides and of the presentation, we'll make that available on logmycalls.com, and then you'll also get an email that has the link where you can locate that the slides as well as the recording. So thanks for coming, everybody, and Mitch, thanks again. Any last words, sir?
No, great. McKay, thanks so much to you and Log My Calls for having us today, and this is a topic that we're really passionate about. So anyone on the call, if you have more questions or whatever, feel free to reach out to us. You can see my email address there, mlapides@fulcrumtech.net, or our phone number. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love feedback, positive or negative. We'll take it. We love the constructive feedback. So thanks again for joining us today, and have a great day, and good luck with your lead gen.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.